Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Okay.
What?
Excuse me.
I'm doing your intro.
That's my intro. You come up with your own intro.
Excuse me. I don't host very much anymore. And I told Nicholas Brown, who, by the way, our guest for today, I don't know if you've seen already, Nicholas Brown is here. Thank you, Nicholas, for joining.
Yes.
This is incredible. But we were talking beforehand, and he said I should do your intro, so I did it. And
well, you didn't
he's the
complete
guest.
it. You should hear. I'll let you finish. I apologize for interrupting.
I don't remember this. I don't know this.
Okay, so
Wherever you may be,
You ruined the flow.
wherever you may be, however you may be listening.
Live in Los Angeles.
Thank you, everybody, once again for tuning in. This is We Are Family, Pittsburgh Sports Podcast, episode 48, right? 48,
Yeah, 48.
of the podcast. We're getting close to the 50 mark, which is a big milestone for us, if that happens. Hopefully it happens. I would assume it would happen unless we get taken off the air somehow. But thank you for joining us today, Nicholas Brown. I want to get into some stuff. First off, I want to talk about, because football is going on right now, right? NFL is in full swing. And you are a very well-known Cowboys fan in these Point Park circles.
Yeah.
How did that originate for you? How did you become a Cowboys fan? Because obviously we are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yes. So I actually have a neighbor that I'm really good friends with. He is actually from Dallas, and his whole house outside is literally decorated in Dallas gear. It's not only painted, but he has like the star and lights and everything. But I always liked Dak Prescott, but then once I started to really get friends with him, I'm like, maybe we should just be, the Cowboy neighbors. And so we are the Cowboy neighbors, and we talk about it every game. His house is like lit up at night with the blue star and literally goes all out, no matter what type of the season. I like the Cowboys specifically. I loved Micah Parsons, but now he's a Packers fan, so that's really taking a little bit of a toll on me. But Dak, he's like my savior. He can always come in clutch at the very end. And I love being a Cowboys fan because the emotions that I go through on a game is just outrageous.
More than most.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the Cowboys and the Steelers, it's like that. It's just, they're always in
like
prime
very
time
historical
games.
as
And
well,
there's always drama. Now, I think the Cowboys, there's different levels of drama in the
Yes.
NFL, but there's always some sort of drama with the Cowboys and the Steelers. So it's certainly fun. They're fun. This Cowboys team is fun, and Dak is having another great year. You talk about 2 years ago, and when he first came out and they went 15-1, like that's the level at the level he's playing. The rest of the team, but
they're competing against themselves. I think there's a stat that their offense is number one, but their defense is like the worst in the league.
oh, it's
That
easily
makes
the
sense.
worst.
Yeah, that would make
easily
sense.
with
And so
no Micah. Yeah, it's easily.
And
the
when you
worst.
give up almost 40 points a game and almost go on to lose that raises a lot of questions from your defensive coordinator to your head coach to your offensive coordinator to, the players inside. And I think this team really needs to collaborate because the season's heating up. I know this is going to be week 5. Once week 6, 7, 8, and you go through the season, you really got to be on top.
They got to start
it's
winning
crunch
some
time.
games. They got to start winning some games. The tie was great and all, but
No, it wasn't. I don't see no damn tie.
well, we'll get into that. I just want to say, this is going to be one of the great episodes. Nicholas Brown is one of our favorite characters here at Point Park University. I do want to say thank Nicholas Brown for having me on his podcast, Steel City Commuters, this past week. Go check that out, Steel City Commuters on YouTube. We'll put like a link in the description. Him and Austin Carnes have been teaming up to create that podcast, and obviously they work to Two Jagoffs is Austin's thing,
Yes.
but you're on Two Jagoffs as well. I just want to hear some of your thoughts on your podcast journey with Austin.
So I actually didn't know Austin until last semester. We had a Dr. Issa class, and Austin always...
What a great way
That's always
to come
when it
together.
comes together. That's always.
Yes.
Austin was always the kid that would come in with every team you thought of, with hats, shirts, like his outfits. And one day, I would always get in there first, and Austin would just come through the door. And I didn't know Austin at this time. So the one day I just said, I really like your hat, because I think it was some kind of fancy, team hat, because, he's like a hat guy and has every team hat you can imagine. And that's when the conversation sparked. We did a few group projects in his class. And then, of course, Monday, Steelers would always play Sunday. So I would always say, how about them Steelers? And I would get the conversation sparked. And Austin, that's when he opened up and said, I'm really not a Steelers fan. I'm a Cardinals fan. And I said, Cardinals fan in Pittsburgh? I said, I'm also a Cowboys fan here in Pittsburgh, so I don't feel so bad. And so that's when the conversation kind of really took off and saying we should probably get into the podcasting journey. And we were thinking about it. And I'm like, it would be really cool to launch in December, get our thoughts. And that's when I really started to get introduced to Two Jagoffs. They were very known at the time. They really had a lot of episodes in. And so when we launched Still City, we didn't expect it to take off. We didn't expect to have so many crossovers. President Brusalis, Bernie, Dr. Bernie Ankney, Dean Palo. And of course, I didn't know any of you at this time. And so that's really when the podcasting started to take off. And we've been recording ever since Tuesdays, uploading Wednesdays, and just getting that experience. And I believe we are going to be on episode 42 this Wednesday.
Wow.
And it's incredible what Two Jagoffs has built, how that has helped my brand. And then, of course, just experiencing the other Pittsburgh podcasts here, because when we talk about podcasts, we also include We Are Family as like the known podcast, especially with
Thank you. Well, we're trying.
Thank you.
We try our best.
That's a great compliment.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you also, why did you come to Point Park? What was the decision making? What was the process like to come to Point Park? Because it's always a unique story from like basically everybody who wants to come here and decides to.
So I've lived in the region all my life, and my goal was to get to Point Park, given I've always wanted to be in broadcasting. Journalism was always my thing from when I was little, and I like to call Pittsburgh my home, and I really don't want to leave my second home, which is Pittsburgh. And so when I had the opportunity to, think about colleges, do I go out of state? Do I stay in town? Do I go to Pitt? Do I go to Duquesne? Do I go to Robert Morris? And Pittsburgh and Point Park really kind of connected with me. And so when I applied to Point Park, I'm thinking, I'm just going to apply to one college, and I did. I said, it's going to be Point Park. If I get in, that's great. And if I don't, we'll try something else. And so when I submitted everything, I got an email back saying I got accepted. And so that's when the journey started taking off, coming down, doing a tour. Do I want to commute? Do I want to live on campus? And so last year, it was my freshman year, and I'm like, I'm just going to commute. I think it's going to be much easier, ease into myself, make the connections. It's going to be a lot easier if I know a lot more people. And so Point Park is always going to be a home to me. I'm glad to be a pioneer. And plus, there's a lot of other Pittsburghers and, broadcasters, Bob Pompiani, the whole Pompiani family, a lot of Ava Rash, I think, not even a Point Parker, but there's a lot of WTAE and a lot of the stations here that resemble Point Park. And I want to continue that legacy.
Yeah, and Greg Brown, even the Pirates play-by-play guy, went to Point Park. And also, you mentioned like with WTA, we're also right now. We're kind of involved with WTA and doing some high school football videography. So we're very appreciative of Andrew Stockey and everybody at WTA for giving us that opportunity as well. I want to get into the Cowboys. I want to ask you about. I know you've talked about it a lot. Probably you've thought about it so much. The Micah Parsons trade. I know you were very upset about the trade. You love Micah Parsons.
Yes.
What was your initial reaction, and how are you feeling about it today?
I don't know what Jerry Jones was thinking. This is like living in Jerry's world, and it's when Jerry likes to get in the way of things, of certain things, and especially negotiating contracts with players. I get it, you're the owner, and you want to see your team succeed, but at some point, you let the professionals handle it. I don't think getting rid of Micah was going to be able to solve any issues. It just puts you further down a hole that you have to live with. Him going to Green Bay really provides them a lot of defensive opportunities, a lot of big-time plays. You saw that when they played against the Cowboys, him coming home for the first time. Micah was really contained. You didn't really hear his name much, but again, you bring up this point to the Cowboys and everything. Micah was really a legacy to this team and really gave this defense a lot of opportunities. Now they're the worst in the league. And I don't want to say Micah is, he is an all-star, but when you just have one player doing all the work on your team, and when that player takes a step back and leaves, you can really see how that reflects.
Yeah, and you talk about this Cowboys defense. It's obviously not been good this season so far. And if you had that Micah Parsons where on a big third down play, he gets a sack or he gets a tackle for loss, and you get off the field, that could be the difference in a couple or three more wins, in these tight games. And now you just don't have that right now for the Cowboys who can make that big play, that big pass defense. Their corners, who were supposed to be the big key strength of their defense, have not performed as well. And it's just a culmination of underperformance throughout that defense.
I mean, trying to convert third into one when you're on a defensive play, you should be able to make that stop. If you're doing it the first time, you're doing it the second time, you easily should be able to do it the third time. And then especially if a team goes for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and you know the game depends on that play, your defense should be number one in that situation.
They can't get off the field.
They can't get off the field.
No.
And we saw that, with the Green Bay, especially going into overtime. They easily could have ended the game like halfway through overtime. But again, they didn't. And I think the defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, is a very significant issue. We saw how he managed the clock on Thanksgiving Day. I think that game was just horrible. I think Matt needs to go, and I think they need to get a better defensive coordinator, and that would really amp up the defense. Now, on the player front, you really can't say, hey, this player's doing amazing. You can't really pick out specific players, and that's really an issue, especially watching Sunday night. That's like one of the most watched games all day. You want to be able to have your team stand out. You want to be able to have specific players stand out. And not being able to name like 1 to 3 players on defense, that's troublemaking. That's not only trouble for your team, not for your owner, for your fans, but that's also trouble trying to make plays and get your name into the stats book.
I mean, my issue with the positive thing with the Cowboys trading Micah, their defense with Micah last year, he was hurt a lot of the year, but their defense when Micah was on the field was not very good as it was. They were a bottom 10 defense. Now, obviously, would they be better with Micah right now? Yes, they wouldn't be the worst defense in the league, but how much better would they actually be? But at the same time, with how Dak in this offense is moving the ball, they could be in the mix for a playoff spot right now. And instead, they only have 1 win.
Did you say Super Bowl? What?
Playoffs. Playoffs. No playoffs. And definitely no Super Bowl. Although you had the Cowboys and the Steelers making the Super Bowl, which would be...
It's absolute cinema.
That would be
maybe the
incredible.
greatest thing in the history of the NFL.
When you said playoffs, I'm thinking you're like getting me all riled up. We're
No playoffs.
We're going right to the Super Bowl.
But I'm saying if Micah was on the team, I think with the way Dak's playing, they would have definitely more of a shot. Where I still, even with how Dak has to be perfect for them to win games, to even tie a game. And I will get into ties, but they have to be perfect, and that's because they just have nothing on this defense. And I think if you had Micah, they'd be winning games. And here's the thing. So yes, their defense would be bad with Micah, but how are you getting better by trading Micah? Yeah, you get a couple first-round picks, but are you really going to be able to get better as a whole with those first-round picks? I mean, how long is Kenny Clark going to be good? I don't know if they got a good enough value in return, honestly.
And the thing with Parsons is that he's young enough where no matter what stage, competing, rebuilding, whatever, you could still build around them either way. So that kind of removes also an element where you have a superstar on defense that you can do kind of anything with in that regard.
But I also feel like, too, Dak is his best primetime spot is the last 2 minutes of the game. I don't know if any of you saw, but NBC showed a stat that entering that game against the Packers, Dak was able to throw for 8 touchdowns within the final 2 minutes of the game. If Dak was like that the whole game, this offense would probably create a whole nother adventure. Yes, I want Dak as my savior because I think he could really force the last 2 minutes. But for you to just throw a touchdown within the last 2 minutes, 8-9 times, shouldn't you just be doing that the whole game? Shouldn't you be able to work with your offense? And now you have George Pickens. Shouldn't you be able to work through that the whole game so it doesn't have to come down to a 1-score or even a tie game if you're that good of an offense, if you have those good of a stats? Don't you understand that? I think Dak also has to work on his passing. I also think George Pickens needs to contain himself because
that's his issue. He's a talent when he's not in his head, but he just when things go wrong, he gets he has to throw a hissy fit, and that's why he's not with the Steelers anymore. But I think right now, overall, that's one of the better moves of the offseason is them getting Pickens because not only has he been a great 2, but look what he did without CeeDee Lamb. He's really stepped up as a 1. Now we'll see how that continues as CeeDee's going to be out for another couple weeks. But I do want to ask Dak's contract, $60 million, the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. But we got to be honest. I love Dak. We love Dak. You love Dak.
it's not worth it.
No, it's not.
It's not worth it. It's so bad whoever negotiated those contracts.
But we know who does.
Right,
does
Jerry Jones.
And he runs it like a mom and pop store. Instead of actually negotiating with the agents, that was the thing with Micah. His agent was mad because he wasn't actually talking to his agent. He was he just wanted him and Micah to do it, and That's not how it works anymore, Jerry. This isn't this, however they did it back in the day. I don't know, but
Jerry appeared on Sunday Night Football because they asked him about the contract negotiations.
Yeah.
I got to be honest, Jerry looked freaking old. He looked like he was out there. And I'm thinking, you really want him to live your legacy, your brand of negotiating contracts and like just throwing away key players, throwing away money like it's no tomorrow?
Well, he said it was soap opera 365 days a year. And I mean, Jerry is the Cowboys and the Cowboys are Jerry. So until something changes with Jerry or with ownership, it's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Interesting. I think it's going to be one to watch because what's going to happen after, Dak's contract's going to go up, George Pickens' contract's going to be up. There's specific key players.
I don't think... well, they may re-sign Pickens. We got to see how he does, and if he doesn't, because if he starts crashing out too much, I don't know if the Cowboys are going to want to bring him back, but we'll see. I mean, his performance has been good enough where that kind of like cancels
I wouldn't even
that
call
out.
it good. I would call it like mediocre right now. Like
Pickens?
He has a fantastic
First couple games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mediocre. I mean, last week he really shined because they're without CD. But between him and CD, you can see the frustration that he sparks and what catches a lot of the crews. And I think as a player, I get that you want to spark that frustration, but you're really working as a team. Don't you really want to try and make sure that both of your offense, wide receivers can work down the field? Can't you make sure you get the ball equal amount of time? I feel like when you show that frustration, that really just shows a head coach and other players, well, this one's really risky. And half the balls, too, George is like one-handed. Like, you can kind of pick and choose what he's going to be able to catch. Where CD, he's more of the reliable one, in my opinion. I don't know if you agree with that. But George really needs to control himself, especially there's a lot of uncostly penalties, unnecessary roughness.
Every week.
It's every week. But actually, he contained himself for the first time in quite a while. So that was nice to see. But again, how is CD going to be able to get back into the game? That's really going to take a toll. I think once you're out on an injury, trying to get back into the groove and trying to get yourself out there to, get those stats, get those reps, it's really going to be tricky. And I think George is going to have to be able to, GP is going to have to hold it up for quite some time. I think it's 2 to 3 weeks CD's out more?
Hopefully not. They were saying he might go on IR. I hope it's not that bad. I don't know. But
If it is, you can really say goodbye to those Super
Well,
Bowl.
it's already been a couple weeks, right? So, I mean, I think hopefully, he does come back in a couple weeks for sure. But what were your thoughts on the Packers game going in? Did you think the Cowboys had a chance to win, like a pretty good chance to win? And I know you don't like the ties, but I mean, if I was a Cowboys fan going in, I would have said like I don't like our chances in this game. And if we got a tie out of it, I would say that's pretty okay. You like to win, obviously.
Yes.
But what were your thoughts?
So believe it or not, I actually picked them to win against Green Bay.
Interesting.
I talked with Matt Palangi the week before. Another Cowboys fan.
That's
did he brainwash you into making that pick? Although he was right. He was pretty much right.
I
almost.
told Matt, I said, I don't care what happens. I am picking Dallas over Green Bay. And I think he typed back, like, what the hell? Are you crazy or something? He goes, I would totally bet against that. And I said, if you think about it, it's going to be prime time. It's going to be at home. Dak does very well. He's not going to lose 2 weeks in a row. And so that factored a lot into the situation. But I always kind of pick the Cowboys. I picked them again this week, surprisingly. Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised. And they're playing the Jets. So
Right.
Yeah, that's very
But after
fair.
a while, I think you have to look at the stats and like the probability. I think coming into this game, everybody was going to pick Green Bay. Let's be honest. Not me. I see it the other way. I don't think Dak is going to be able to be that himself and lose 2 weeks, 3 weeks in a row. I just think Dak is going to be able to come together. But also, you have to say, though, Jordan Love didn't really have a great game either. There was a lot of risky at times.
I'm not the biggest Jordan Love fan.
I'm not either.
That's why I had the
love
Packers.
me some Jordan
I
Love.
like Jordan Love a lot too. Me and Peyton.
He
are
had
very
a good game. What do you mean? I mean, they scored 40 points. How do you can say he didn't have a good game?
Oh, they made that. He made that terrible decision before halftime, which gave the Cowboys.
Yes.
Wasn't it a
complete
fumble?
momentum.
He got stripped.
Yes.
How's
Yeah,
that
but-
his fault?
well,
His
'cause-
line didn't hold up.
he always turns the ball over way too much.
So did Brett Favre.
Yeah, well, I
he's
wasn't
still
the
a great
biggest,
quarterback.
Well, you can't compare them. You can't compare them right now.
But he's
Yeah,
a
right.
Favrean. I mean,
You can't compare. I don't need that comparison.
that's
to Brett
Jordan
Favre
Love.
right now.
I mean, the Packers continue to hit on all their draft picks, especially when it comes to quarterback.
I mean, I would hope so. You'd be able to put up 40 points against the worst defense.
Oh yeah, that's a very
But
good
you can't
point.
say he didn't play well. If it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have done anything. Because their run game, the Packers' run game is a big problem right now. And the Packers still did put up 40 points with a bunch of offensive linemen hurt as well. So I don't want to hear the Jordan Love.
Oh, you have to see a lot more,
now.
because how was he against Philadelphia in the plaffs? Okay, now he was great against the Cowboys.
Right.
And that's when I was like, oh, this kid might have something. But I just something's just off with, I don't know. But that's interesting. So you really, I'm thinking the Cowboys are gonna get this
He's
one.
the optimist, man. He's the ultimate
Super Bowl,
optimist.
95% chance that there's a Super Bowl.
Wait, was it 100 like last week? I thought I heard that the probability was 100. Now it's 95.
95.
But I thought it was 95 going into the year, wasn't it?
It was 95
Okay.
going into the year.
Okay.
Then it dropped to 90. We went back to 99, and now
Oh,
we're
99. 99.
Okay,
That's what I was.
gotcha.
That's what I heard. 99.
I got a question. I mean, you are a finance/stats kind of guy. So Nicholas Brown loves sports, but his main thing is finance and politics, I would say,
Yes.
right? Correct? Follow him on X. A lot of follow. We got to talk about your X account because it's a legendary account. We always have the breaking news, and if you want to follow the world of finance and politics, this is your guy right here locally. But I don't know where you're getting those numbers. I don't know where those numbers are coming from, except a big star on your neighbor's porch or whatever. That's where those numbers are coming from.
There's a lot of finance that goes into it, a lot of stats, and picking and choosing, and a lot of money making, deal valuation, probability of a win. So you put everything together, you plug them into my little arithmetic, and you get some numbers. And
I call that imaginary magic. That's what I call it. Imaginary numbers.
The Nicholas Brown arithmetic
Formula.
the formula.
my
That's
own
the
formula that I can come up with. What do you want me to rank the Steelers to at this point? If going to the Super
We
Bowl?
can talk
I
about
would love
the
to hear.
Steelers.
I would love to hear that. Let's talk about it. What do you? I know you on the fly here. I don't know if you're gonna have the exact probability, but what do you think Steelers Super Bowl? What do we think in the probability?
Well, I mean, my God, do you see this division? This whole division, AFC North, is just like crumbling into pieces. And I mean, the Ravens have barely anybody playing this week. You have the Browns.
The Browns. Nicholas Brown.
You have the Browns.
I'm surprised you're not a Browns fan.
I'm not surprised.
Same here, yeah.
Other than the name, other than the last.
That's what I'm saying.
But if you're in Cleveland, you don't pronounce it Brown. You say Brown. But they are the Browns, so I guess
They're the
that's true.
Browns.
They're the Browns. The Browns. So it is an interesting dynamic there. But
I think they have a good 80% chance.
Steelers,
I love that.
Wow.
I love those chances.
I do like
love
those
hearing
chances
that
too.
because you put a lot of time and effort into these probably, and I'm really, I really value these
Probability Peyton. There's your new nickname.
no, I'm
He doesn't
Peanut
do that.
Peyton.
He's Peanut Peyton, Pirate Peyton. But yeah, I mean, you look at it now. I mean, some of these divisions. I mean, the Texans haven't played well. The Colts look like something maybe, but
I'm telling you.
But the AFC West might cannibalize itself.
Yes.
The Bills, defense in a big spot. Aaron Rodgers and the AFC champ. I don't know.
We're
dreaming with
drinking
Nicholas
the Kool-Aid
Brown.
right now.
I don't know if any of you know this. Peyton, you may not know this, but my debit card, actually, the face of it is actually the Colts.
Really?
My banking, Huntington Bank did not have a Steelers one when I got my card. They said
They didn't have a Cowboys one.
Wow.
Did they have a Cowboys?
No, they didn't have a Cowboys. They didn't have a Steelers. They said, "Oh, we have the Colts." I'm like, okay, fine, give me the Colts then.
Daniel Jones is just making waves around
Yeah, right.
everything. I'm
That's-
telling
that's-
you.
If you don't know, this guy on the end here, big Daniel Jones fan.
I'm
He's
a
on
big Daniel
cloud
Jones.
11
I
right
am.
now.
And it's great because everyone's realizing that the Giants they ruined them.
They're
They ruined them.
poverty.
They're poverty.
Well, we're gonna. I mean, in a couple weeks here, we got Colts Steelers. That's gonna be a very compelling
Yeah.
matchup.
I'm
Jake
very
Bell.
You gonna bet against the Steelers?
Jake
I
Bell's-
don't even know. I'm rooting for the Steelers, but I want Daniel Jones to have 4 touchdowns and 0 picks. Like, it's just one of those weird things. Like, I want,
Steelers
what I mean?
defense gets absolutely annihilated.
But the Steelers win like 35-28 or something. Like, something like
Right,
that.
right.
That's what I would hope for. I don't want Daniel Jones to have a bad game.
Well, I think Ireland really set the tone for how international games, how Steelers play over international. If you really watched it on NFL Network, I think it was the second most watched game out of the international. It felt like a true home game. They had Renegade. They took PA announcer Larry Richard over
Yep.
there.
I love that.
The team played fantastic. It was incredible to see. I wish they would play in Ireland every week. I think this team could sweep over in Ireland.
Wow.
Aaron Rodgers had a pretty decent game. DK Metcalf had a really good game. TJ Watt finally making a comeback because I think there was a lot of whispers and there was a lot of concern about TJ's really not making an impact. Is he like sitting on the sidelines? The one player I'm very disappointed in is Pat Freiermuth. He's been quiet so far this season. And I'm not sure if that's intentional, if he's just not performing up to his standards.
I will say, apparently it was intentional for that game because the Steelers wanted to go run heavy coming into it. So Darnell Washington was getting a lot more snaps.
About time they use him. He's 6'8".
So he got more snaps than both Jonnu Smith and Freiermuth combined into that game. That's what I was told.
But even so,
I really think Freiermuth is expendable, and if you could make a move to improve the team at the deadline, and it would improve, and it would include Pat Freiermuth, I would not be.
I agree.
Opposed to it, because Jonnu and Freiermuth are the same guy. Freiermuth's maybe a little bit of a better blocker, but Washington's your main blocker. Washington is now getting involved in the pass game finally, and Freiermuth just makes these stupid mistakes. Last week or against the Patriots, he wasn't in the right spot where Aaron wanted him to be. He does these goofy things sometimes.
And then he was disinterested on that blocked field goal.
He cost us that blocked field goal, which I thought that's going to change the game. And that really, we'll get to the end of that game. That was, oh my God. But I'm just not. He just seems like every week he does something silly, and he's not. I think it's because he's not getting involved. And it's because you're not the best tight end on this team, and you're getting paid $12 million a year. I think there's teams out there who would take that risk potentially, but I don't think it's worth it for the Steelers. I really don't. So
Kenneth Gainwell is also one that players are underestimating.
He did. I like him. He's a football player. He's good. It's just. It concerns me that they're using him more than the Caleb Johnson. That's what concerns me. Whenever you could have drafted Scadaboo around later, who looks to be just this underdog, really solid running back.
He's like a fullback who runs like a running back.
I mean, I'm shocked. Like these NFL teams went through interviews with him, and they're like talent is one thing, but I feel like interviews have to be also important, because you have to know
most definitely.
how if these guys are going to be hard workers or not. Sometimes it's more than just the skill set. It's why you see some of these receivers for the Steelers. It's oh wow, these guys are very talented, but then they have some of these off the field issues, and you're like, well, maybe we'd rather have the guy who may be a little less talented, but you're going to get consistent production on the field and a consistent person off the field.
I thought the whole offense, though, over in Ireland was something different.
I was shocked by how the offense played.
Even the defense. I mean, you have Drake May and the Patriots, but 5 turnovers, and this is what also really concerns me, too, about the Steelers' defense. And the offense, too. When you have 5 turnovers and your offense can't even score off of them, that just gives away the momentum and what you want to ride into going into halftime, going into the third, going into the fourth. 5 turnovers, and you couldn't really score or really get downfield off those opportunities. I don't know if that's an Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if that's the offensive coordinator's fault. I don't know if it's a Mike Tomlin decision, fault. But that really concerns me, because when you eventually play the Bills, when you eventually play the Chiefs, when you eventually play some of these higher teams that know how to capitulate off these mistakes, that really turns the question in, what's going to happen if there is a turnover? 5 turnovers and you only almost lost that game? That really provides a lot of worrisome heading. Thank God it's the bye week now, that after the Vikings game, because, there's still some injuries too, but this team really needs to regroup and really kind of come together and say, this is what needs to happen, and this is how you have to score.
But the NFL is a week-to-week league, and, the Steelers, they forgot about that Patriots game now, because, that was their best game easily. The first 3 weeks, it was there were a lot of concerns, and that was their best game. And to go into the bye I feel like with that confidence is a good thing. But what I was so impressed with, the reason I picked the Vikings and a lot of people had the Vikings was Brian Flores, this defensive personnel, it's going to be a mismatch. And our offensive line came in, a unit that's been really struggling, and bullied them. I haven't seen the Steelers just run the ball. That one drive they scored a touchdown, they ran the ball every single play with
true.
Kenneth Gainwell. And we've been saying on this podcast, Kenneth Gainwell, why is he getting snaps over Caleb Johnson? Well, maybe we were wrong about Kenneth Gainwell. Maybe he's can be a 1-2 punch with Jaylen Warren. That was really an impressive performance, but I have to give the shout out to the offensive line. You want to see improvement. You want to see effort get better every single week, And I think there's going to be issues with this offensive line. I'm not saying everything's perfect with them now, but like to do that against the Vikings was impressive. And everyone was like, well, Aaron only threw for 200 yards, but Aaron didn't have to do much because we just ran the ball and down their throats. But you have to give Aaron credit because that first touchdown drive, they were getting pressure. They did get some pass rush, the Vikings.
First play of the game.
But he said, you know what, I'm going to go back. That's what I was calling for. Short passes, quick passes. That first play, that second drive, he gets the ball under center, does his classic throw to the sideline to DK, get the ball in his hands. And that's what they did well. And that opened up the run game for the rest of the game. So Aaron getting that short passing game going and then throwing that absolute dart to DK and on that blown coverage by the linebacker and him going 80 yards, I mean, that changed the game. So,
But don't you think at some point, though, when you're in the game, the 2-3 yard passes really don't make a difference? You have the potential. You have the opportunity. Why don't you just launch it downfield? You could dart that downfield.
Because he doesn't have a lot of time to a lot of the time. We saw that in the first 3 weeks.
And that's an issue, too, though.
Yeah.
That is an issue, though, because the 3 or 4 yard passes in critical situations isn't always going to save you. And I think the Steelers always rely on that. And that's an issue. You have DK Metcalf. He is pretty capable of almost catching anything, in my opinion. I don't know if you guys agree.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, he's the most physical receiver, in the league. Yeah. I mean, he can body any corner.
The thing is, though, teams like to double him. So when he doubles, who's going to step up? And I don't know how long Calvin Austin's going to be out, but someone else is going to have to step up. And I think it's going to have to be Jonnu Smith.
Or Darnell Washington.
Yeah, both of them.
Get it to him more. I mean, we saw it. Yeah, we saw it against the Vikings.
They did that well this week. They got him 3 or 4 catches.
And he had a lot of penalties. I think he drew some off, in the end zone, which got it right at the 1 yard line.
He's done that a couple times this year.
Because he's such a big guy. Yes. And these corners, we have to grab on him or else he's going to catch it,
right.
But I think the momentum, too, in that game was they went to DK, and then it was, right to Darnell for the 2-point conversion. And that's, the momentum you want to see. You want to see more of that. If you have the capability of scoring the touchdown and being able to go
that was the Seattle game,
that
right?
was the Seattle game.
Yeah.
If you're able to do that, I think that's a perfect example because you definitely could take that on the road with you and do that against the Vikings.
They've been great.
I love that play.
Great in the red zone. And that's credit to Aaron. I mean, even with the Jets last year, even though they were terrible, they were great in the red zone. And that was an issue last year for the Steelers, a big issue.
Now, this year, they can actually get in the red zone and score. And I think once you start capitulating on that, once you're using Darnell Washington, once you're using DK Metcalf, maybe Aaron Rodgers does a QB sneak every once in a while, and you can...
we put Darnell Washington under center and let Aaron just go point. That's all he saw.
But I think once you have that momentum, you should be able to build on that. You shouldn't be able to fall off the cliff. You should be able to ride to the top and just keep riding. There should be no falling back. Let's ride.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Nick, on that 2-play sequence, getting it to DK for the touchdown, and then, hey, we have one of the most unique players in football in Darnell Washington. Let's use him to our advantage. There's no corners that are within 3 inches, in terms of height, and 50 pounds in terms of weight at least on Darnell Washington. Throw it up to him and see what happens. The worst thing is he draws a penalty.
Right.
I do want to say about the short passes, I feel like the first 3 weeks they weren't doing that enough because they were just trying to go downfield, and I was like, this isn't working. And so when Aaron finally started getting the ball out of his hands, they started working the quick passing game. That did open up things downfield with the 80-yard touchdown, with the DK jump ball. So it kind of reminds me of Big Ben's last year, and that year was kind of not great, but all Ben would do is just get the ball in and out of his hands because of the offensive line. But the difference this year, I'm more comfortable with Aaron doing that because the Steelers have the playmakers that when they can get the ball in their hands, the yards after catch is going to be pretty good. So, and I don't think they had that in Ben's last year. And the more you consistently do that, the more the run game's going to open up and the more the downfield, the 15 to 20 yard plays are going to open up and more.
And you have to look at it this way too. Rodgers isn't coming off a major arm injury like Ben Roethlisberger was, so he's able to not only get the ball out fast, but he's able to get a lot quicker.
Well, his arm, I mean, it's like Marino. I've talked to my dad about that, because he remembers watching Marino. Obviously, no matter how much agility and mobility he loses, I mean, he'll be 50 years old. He'll still be able to throw the ball as well as anybody. Yeah. It's just a God-given ability. So,
Yeah, and I just forgot what I was gonna say. I don't know what I was gonna say.
Take your time. We're good.
I mean, Darnell Washington. There was, I think, 5 people tried to tackle him the one play.
Yeah.
I'm like,
How about Broderick Jones?
Yes.
When Aaron took off, I was like, "No, Aaron, no! We'll take
It went
the
right
field
to
goal."
him. It went right to
And then he
him.
fumbled. I was like, "No!" And then Broderick Jones, he took that
right
ball,
there.
and he was like, "I'm going for that end zone."
He has to make
I'm
an impact
trucking
somehow,
people
right?
over.
Like,
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think that sequence could have set up any further. Like, that was picture perfect.
That was so funny.
That was a funny
but it was
play.
awesome.
But I remember I was gonna say, the difference now is with this Vikings game. Could this O-line be improved now? I mean, that was clearly the best game we've seen.
I think they are improving.
And so maybe we saw a lot of the short passes and everything, and we liked them in this game because DK Metcalf obviously was just incredible with it. But maybe if this O-line can protect and hold up, which we really want, and it opens up because they've been run blocking, okay throughout, but now like they really did a great job run blocking, and then the pass protection was really, really solid. I mean, against the Vikings. If you get that in the weeks to come, then you do have the time for those deep passes that you were talking about, Nick, where you can throw it up to a DK Metcalf and see what happens. You can get Calvin Austin just speeding past, hopefully when he gets healthy, speeding past the corner and getting a deep reception, or you could just wait. I love when Aaron just like kind of waits doing his check, and then he sees, Darnell, he's not blocking, he's going out, and you get it to him and just see him truck feed. It's so hard to tackle him. It's funny watching him get the ball, but I think if that could happen, that could really open up this offense to something that we haven't seen from the Steelers in a very long time.
Going into the bye week, I don't think we were expecting to be 3-1. I wasn't sitting up here and going to actually say that. I was really concerned going into the season because they drafted Aaron Rodgers and because TJ Watt really
drafted Aaron Rodgers.
Well, they got
signed him.
They signed him. But I just think too this whole situation, TJ really had a fall off last year. If you think about it, TJ Watt fell off.
Wasn't
a cliff.
good. It was his worst. I think it was one of his, if not the worst year.
I don't think he had a stat since Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, Austin reminds me of that every time we talk about TJ Watt. So that's like literally just nailed into my head. And he's probably one of the most impactful players on defense. Now that he's starting to come back, now that you're starting to see some momentum building, what do you think, though, going into the bye week? Is this actually the perfect time? Because, there's injuries, but you have to think about it. We really haven't had any division games, and division games really mean a lot. I really wish that the bye week would have really been closer to week 11, week 12, week 13.
Because that's when their toughest stretch of games is coming up. That's when the toughest stretch is,
and I always feel like the Steelers have an easy road ahead leading up to the bye, and then right after the bye, it's just so tricky, hard to predict. You really don't know what the weather is going to be, and that the snowy turfs and just the whole game plan. You're getting yourself in your head because it's a division game. I think that provides a lot of worrisome.
You're saying you'd rather have the bye later in the year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think that's when injuries are most prone. I think later in the season, and once you're heading into the playoffs, you really don't want some of your best players down.
You want the bye to be when you're playing tough opponents.
Yes.
Because we have the Browns and then the Bengals. Now, it's it's AFC North football. Anything can happen, but
expect to win those games.
You expect it, right?
You have to.
And I do agree about that. I was hoping when a schedule came out, I was hoping the Vikings game was more in the middle of the season.
Yep.
Because I do like the bye after the international game to give everybody time to recoup and everything after all that travel.
I mean, they had to have the bye after, but it's just unfortunate it was scheduled.
I was hoping it was. I was hoping it was more middle of the season because then you see. I mean, there's a lot of the Bills. You play the Ravens twice the second half, and you figure they're going to be playing with a lot of heart. The Lions,
we play the Chargers.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be rough at the end of the season. So, but the Steelers again, you got to do some cooking early. You got to win these games with these backup quarterbacks and unproven players so that you give yourself some cushion. To their credit, they did that last year, though, at 10-3, and then everything just fell apart from there.
But I also think, too, Ravens are falling apart. The Bengals are falling apart. Maybe this is a perfect time for the bye. I don't know.
Interesting.
Because 3-1, Ravens are 1-3, Browns are 1-3. I don't think the Ravens are going to win this weekend. I don't think the Bengals are going to win this weekend. I don't think the Browns are going to win this weekend. I think everybody in our division just drops off.
The Bengals look terrible right now.
The Bengals,
terrible.
Yeah, The Bengals out of everybody actually worry me the least because the Browns defense is I'm worried to play the Browns again with our offensive line.
Miles Garrett looks great.
They have arguably the #1 defense in football right now.
So how can the Steelers offense combat off that? That's an issue.
And we talked about the offensive line. You know, I think there was improvements. I think there's still going to be issues and bumps in the road, yes, because it's a young offensive line. But you just want to see some improvement every week. Like, I don't think they're going to be as dominant like they were in week 4 every single week moving forward. But you do like to see that continue. As far as the defense is concerned, like, yes, it was a great performance. They got to the quarterback. I like that they brought some blitzing, but a lot of soft coverage, a lot of yards given up, especially at the end of the game. We saw some more man-to-man. Like I said, I liked the blitzing. But as far as this pass rush is concerned, this front four, we've been like, where's the front four? And they finally showed up. But here's the asterisk. They came in with the game. The Vikings came in with the game with one offensive lineman hurt.
Yep.
Then Pitt legend Brian O'Neill goes out.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think their center, or was it maybe their guard? One of the two.
I think it was their center.
Because their guard had already been out, and then their center went out. So there's 3 interior linemen out. So how impressed am I really supposed to be with Carson Wentz?
It was still 7 sacks.
Carson Wentz has his moments, and you can argue is better than J.J. McCarthy, but he's still very erratic. He missed. There was some. Justin Jefferson. There were 2 or 3 plays he was wide open, didn't see him. So I'm not hailing that this Steelers defense is. It's still a lot of. Let's give them yards.
Work in progress.
Let's give them a lot of yards and hope for the splash plays, and that's my big issue against the big teams. They're not like Josh Allen's of the world. They're not going to let you. They're not going to give up. They're not going to give you the ball. They're not going to turn the ball over like we see, or let them sack you like that with their offensive line. So, I want to see some better coverage in the secondary. We're going to get Joey Porter back. Now Ramsey's going to be out. I don't think that. I think he'll be fine, but you're concerned about that. So I'm more excited about the offense right now, actually, than I am the defense. I don't know about some of you, but yeah.
I agree. It was funny. Ramsey did it was obviously called back, but he did the hamstring injury fake.
And then he ended up hitting
he ended up hurting his hamstring after.
I didn't watch that part of the game, and I thought it was AI at the time because I was like, wait, this is. I wonder if people are being ironic about it. But it actually
very initially, I was like, wait a second,
is that real?
Yeah. But then I was like,
bro, he faked me. I thought for sure.
Yeah, I was like, oh crap, and then I was just like,
gritty,
and I was like, I think he's okay.
That's disrespectful.
Yeah.
What do you make of that rule, though? I thought that's really you really got to go in the rule book. How he touched it out of bounds, and if you touch the ball out of bounds, that's just like a dead play. What do you think of that rule? You think that's a sneaky rule if you don't know football?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was obviously the right call with the rule in place.
But you have to think it was just. I think why people are like, why is that a rule? We see this all the time. Like whenever there's a fumble, if the ball is in bounds and you have possession of it, if you're out of bounds, it doesn't matter. So there, it was just like, he fumbled in bounds. He thought he was in bounds, and he just happened to have a little bit of his foot back in out of bounds. And that's so we saw it in the Patriots game. They recovered the ball. There was a Jonnu fumble. They recovered the ball, and the Patriots were just out of bounds. So that's just a common rule, but I think the way it happened, with it being a touchdown, it was just weird.
Well, it's
weird. A common rule.
It was weird because, who was that who initially on the Steelers had it, and then Ramsey picked it up? I can't remember who that was.
I think, yeah.
But they had, the Steeler player had it, but then the Vikings player was just barely touches it, but was out of bounds. So it was just a weird play that you don't see live, but then as you go back, you see it through. So it was just a wonky play. Luckily, it didn't, bite the Steelers in the butt. Yeah, they were able to win that game. But what do we think? I just want to touch on the ending of that game. What do we think? I think Mike Tomlin, I always get worried at the end of games because his time management's always been very below par. And I don't like his lack of. I think aggression typically wins in the NFL, especially on offense.
And these defensive coaches, it's not just Tomlin. They don't have the aggression.
And Aaron was just begging, like, can we please go for it?
Yeah.
And Tomlin doesn't listen to anybody.
No.
Tomlin, in that organization, Tomlin is the guy. And the fact that he listened to Aaron, but unfortunately the play call was just garbage, just to run the ball. And I know they've been running the ball well, but you're at the 3-yard line. You have to be throwing in that situation.
They did that basically to say worst case scenario, we'll have them start the 1, but you can't be thinking that way whenever you're trying to be an aggressive offense. And then you can't give up.
I mean, that's unacceptable. This is what I mean with the secondary and the soft coverage. Like how, like I think it was Juan Thornhill that made the mistake. I'm not sure. Yes, it's great that they have the ball at the 1-yard line, but not if you have a blown coverage and let Jordan Addison go. And if Jordan Addison doesn't stumble, he scores. And you have to give Peyton Wilson made the play of the game, catching up to him. And Peyton Wilson, he's had his issues this year, but he is fast. And catching up, stopping him at the 1.
He's fast except in coverage. He always gets beat in I don't know. I really don't understand it. Like he's always just trailing these tight ends. It's just crazy. But yeah, I do agree. But my issue though, more specifically, was not going for on 4th and 1.
Oh yeah, I was gonna get to that.
That was like the one because that one Aaron was like, please, can we do it?
4th and inches.
Yeah, it wasn't even 1, and you were getting like 5 yards, over 5 yards a run.
Yeah,
you should have went for it.
Yeah, I know that's like a test. Like you get that, you win the game.
The problem is with these defensive coaches, they trust in their defense. And Tomlin, despite knowing he just gave up a 99-yard touchdown drive, just said, you know what, we're going to give them the ball back.
He should have done a QB.
You're averaging 5 yards a carry. In that situation, that's when you run the ball. And then when you're down there 4th and goal at the 3, right? Yeah, you've been running the ball well. But you don't just say, we're going to run the ball so they're pinned inside the 1. They're already pinned at the 3.
Yeah.
You're trying to score. You're not trying to pin them further.
I 100%
It was bad decision-making by Arthur Smith, bad decision-making by Mike Tomlin. Yes, the Steelers played well, but I think the problem with the Steelers, we see this when they're dominating games, which is rare because they're usually the games are usually close with the Steelers. I wouldn't say they're always underdogs, but the games are always close. When they get these big leads, it's like they don't know what to do with it. They instead of just closing the game out,
a deer in headlights come out.
And
yeah, that's exactly what it is.
You have a guy down, right? You step on him when he's down. I mean, typically you don't in life, but like in football, you crush the ant. When the ant's about to die, you crush it. Instead, the Steelers give it life.
This has gotten very graphic here.
Sorry, but like,
God. Next, we're gonna have blood on the screen.
The Steelers give them life, and they're very. I thought with the way that the defense just gave up that drive, I was like, they're gonna go down and kick a field goal, and they're about to blow an 18-point lead in 10 minutes. I mean, you can't have that kind of decision making, and you have to have better. Yeah, they need to listen to Aaron. Listen to Aaron. You listen to Aaron, or else.
Or else.
All
or
right.
else Aaron's not going to be happy.
Anything else on the Steelers? I mean, we'll talk more next week. Obviously, there's
any thoughts of the on. Yeah, I think we all agree.
It was just Mike Tomlin, trusting his defense and whatever.
Yeah.
Are you trying to go for a new head coach? I think there's probably going to be one opening in a few.
years. I've been wanting a new head coach for 5 years.
Since the Browns playoffs, that's when we kind of deteriorated.
Yes.
Because that game just. I mean, you kind of. It was like. That game against the Browns, it was on a collision course to where that was going to happen.
But not only that, it was the same exact thing as 3 years prior.
Yes.
Like the same exact situation.
It was COVID. Kevin Stefanski wasn't even on the sideline.
He was like, their
whole team had COVID, and they destroyed us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to just briefly touch on the Bears Raiders because I want to talk about the Bears specifically and Caleb Williams. What are we thinking? Because he's been a topic of conversation in the NFL. He obviously played well against your Cowboys.
Yes, very well.
I think there was a little bit of an adjustment period with Ben Johnson, and Caleb Williams. And I think it's starting to look a little better. Now, they didn't look great, honestly, against the Raiders.
No.
And they honestly should have lost, although Geno Smith was just out of control. He just was throwing the ball to the other team like crazy. But I thought that I think this is a different Bears team.
Wow.
Actually, I think this is a different Bears team.
It's funny. It's the one year where Peyton is finally like about the Bears, and then you're all in.
Well, I was initially in the summer. I was like the Bears are gonna make the playoffs. I backed off. I still said like 8 and 9, 9 and 8. I still think that's kind of gonna happen, but they haven't been that in a long time too. I just think that they never win close games and they never win road games, and I just think that was an impressive finish. I know the field goal, but they held the Raiders in the end and forced a tough field goal. What do we think of Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson?
Well, I just think that the Raiders are like falling off another cliff. Like they're in a.
This is tough for the Raiders.
Like, I knew
right
they
now.
would start off bad because of the new personnel. I didn't think it'd be this bad.
It's like horrible.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know why you want to be a Raiders fan at this point. It's like depression. I mean, every
Well,
week,
our good friend Brian Cashman, big Raiders fan.
He is a big Raiders
going
fan. Yeah.
into the game every week, it's like, well, you don't pick you're never going to pick the Raiders just because of how awful this team is.
They picked them last week. Can you believe it, Nicholas Brown? I was on the
I know.
Bears. They picked their, and now the
Yeah, that
Raiders
was
should have
on
won
me.
that game.
I had a rough week, very rough week on my part.
But you know what? You're still ahead by a lot,
That
Jake
is
Bell.
true.
And our
Yeah,
con-
that
you can
is
check
true.
out our YouTube shorts. They're up every weekend. And Nicholas Brown is our guest picker. He's going to do
yeah.
some picks this week.
Oh yes.
I'm already 0 for 1, so you probably shouldn't take any advice from me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you shouldn't take advice from any of us, right?
Right,
Except for
right.
Jake Bell.
Well, except for last week. My sister clowned me. She was like, you got all the picks
Oh,
wrong
wow.
except this one. I'm like, sometimes the legends go 0 for 4. You know, Aaron Judge goes 0 for 4 sometimes.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy talk from Jake Bell.
We're feeling frisky today. We're very high on ourselves here in the Steelers.
I'll
and
take Jake's picks and I'll gamble on them. I'll see if we can make some
Interesting.
money.
You know, that's the point where I'm going to be bad again, knowing that you're going to put money on
Yeah,
it.
when
Too much
money's,
pressure.
when money's on
Yeah.
the line, it
Money's
gets a
on the
little
line.
It
wonky.
does. Yeah, it does go wonky.
But to the Bears' point, I think this is a decent team. I think they just got to capitulate more.
It's a different team.
It's a
I think
different
it
team.
is. I honestly think
I
it
do
is.
too. But
Like-
again, when you play against the Raiders and you almost lose them, that really sets like a really low bar for your season. And I mean, I get it, like the block field goal. What is up? I think that's another topic. What is up with these blocked field goals?
Oh, my
There
God.
was one last night.
Yeah.
The Rams are the worst. They've given out so many. They've given up 4. I mean, they've lost 2 games. I mean, last night the Rams lost because they just gave them the game in so many different ways, and they didn't want it. The 49ers wanted it more, but like that's 2 games now. If they make that extra point, they win against the Niners last night, and if they don't have 2 blocked field goals against the Eagles, they win. And so that's the difference between 3-2 and 5-0 right now. So these units have to get it together. I think we'll find out in a couple of weeks.
What's the method?
There's some sort of something. They're figuring something out. These special teams units that are going after these kicks, and there's gonna have to be an adjustment made because I don't think it's a coincidence anymore. I don't know what's going on.
And
but-
there was a blocked field goal at the end of that game. That's how the Bears practically won. I mean,
Right.
that's just getting pure lucky. When you, as a Bears fan, you should have been able to go in and dominate. You should have been able to dominate against the Raiders. There's
They were
no
slow.
question.
They were very slow. Both teams
I
were
don't
very
know about
sloppy.
okay. I think we're overestimating. We're overestimating how bad the Raiders are. They have Max Crosby. Geno Smith has had a bad start to the year, but he's an upgrade over to what they've had. Ashton Genty had a huge game. I mean, they have one of the best tight ends in the league. There's some pieces there for the Raiders,
I think
but
it was-
Geno Smith has to play better.
Do you think
Yeah.
it's their head coach? Do you think it's a coaching issue internally?
No, I mean,
I
Pete
think it's
Carroll-
just getting used to each other at this point,
Right.
because you have a new quarterback. That's a whole different
That's
scenario,
right.
and then you also have the new head coach. You have a rookie running back. There's going to be a lot of just work in progress before you really see how this team can
To
play.
me, it's just the Geno Smith problem. He has to be better. I mean, he has to be. They're not asking for Geno Smith to be a savior. You have to stop turning the ball over. And Pete Carroll hates the turnovers, and he's turning the ball over like crazy. He has 7 interceptions, just to 4 touchdowns. So I think I may be off on that number, but
Do you think he's going to get benched?
no.
I don't
Well,
think,
because
I don't think he.
No.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Who's the Raiders' backup quarterback right now?
Oh. I forgot all about
no,
that.
No, he's not getting benched. He's not getting
One
benched.
Kenneth Pickett.
Yeah.
Kenneth.
Yes.
You don't think Kenny Pickett could try and provide some light for this team, light at the end of the tunnel?
No.
Hey, he doesn't. He's not very high on, and I understand it. But I wasn't even thinking about bringing
I
him
know,
up.
right?
I
But,
forgot he was a Raider for a second. Well, I don't know if he's still on the team. They had a guy from North Dakota State or something. That's like a rookie. or something like that.
Yeah, I don't
They
know.
had
I forget his name.
I don't know if he's good, but Brady, that was the guy Brady wanted.
Sorry,
so
KP.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ken.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow,
Sorry,
that would
Kenny.
be
No,
that would be
we'll see.
something.
Kenny
but
has once again been traded for the 5th time in
that
a
would be
year.
that would be very disrespectful. It's very disrespectful
It
what's
is
going on. But
disrespectful. It is.
Well,
I want to move to something that irked probably every Bucco fan this week.
Oh, depression.
It's been known that Ben Cherington was probably going to be brought back. Obviously, let's start with the good news. Don Kelly, Point Park alumni,
Yeah.
been extended. We don't know the terms of the agreement. We don't know the years, the money, whatever.
We never do, do
You never
we?
do. We never hear that.
That's
Yeah.
that family over there with all the money. They're just lining their pockets with money, but they never want to disclose because they're like worried that, it's just, come on, give us Don Kelly's contract. I really want to know actually what went into this. I knew he was going to be signed.
I think, can I be honest? I think it's a 1-year deal. I think it's
Really?
I think it's only 1 year.
I mean, to
I
be
think this
honest,
is
I
make or
could see
break.
that. I could see that because, say, Ben Cherington doesn't last an 8th season, the new GM is going to want to hire his manager, and you don't want to have any financial backlash with firing a manager.
Right.
You'd
Yep.
rather it be their contract isn't renewed, kind of like, I know you guys are going to mention Oscar Marine. That whole situation, his contract just wasn't renewed.
And there's going to be a whole, in 2027, who knows if we're going to have a season.
Yeah.
There's going to be a big bargaining thing or whatever it's called, CBA.
There might be the
might
collective
be a-
bargaining agreement is
There
up.
might be a lockout. So the Pirates have to be conservative, I think, with the Don Kelly move.
So I think we all like the Don Kelly move. I
Yeah.
think he did a solid job.
He's
He
not
did
the-
what he
that's
could
not
do.
the issue.
He's obviously not the issue.
I think it's the GM all along. I've been saying.
That was the
Yes.
big thing, that Ben Cherington was retained. He gets a 7th season, and who knows? I mean, his contract goes through 2027. We're gonna honor his contract apparently, and he's like, I just don't understand. And then not only that, they always do the scapegoat thing. We're gonna have a scapegoat this year. Now, Mike Ribello was a horrible third base coach. Like, we
Yes.
all know that.
Yes.
But so whatever. He should have been gone earlier. But Oscar Marine.
I know why they.
Well, they were saying it's because the pitchers thought they could go to another level, and they thought Oscar Marine was kind of holding them back. But go ahead, say
No,
what
I
you
was
were
gonna
gonna
say. Like, I always liked Oscar Marine. Whenever they hired him, I was very excited. He worked with the Rangers. He helped like Lance Lynn, Mike Minor, like those guys bounce back. But I can understand if because at some point you have to listen to the players. I think owner Bob Nutting knows that. I think that's what he's at least giving some sort of attempt to do with this situation. And I understand it. They didn't want to renew his contract. I understand that, but you have to hire a pitching coach with a pedigree that can develop young pitchers. That's a big.
Are they
thing.
going to get a better pitching coach than Oscar Marine?
I honestly don't think so, but I don't know. It's a weird situation, and I really like Brent Strom too. I'm very sad that he's not here anymore either.
I did hear about Brent Strom.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a much of the Pirates didn't want him
He wanted to
anymore.
go- I think he wanted to
he's
go.
old,
He did.
older.
No, that's 100%
And I
what
think
happened.
they said the door is ajar. Or they said the door is open, but I like
Yeah.
to say the door is ajar.
Yeah.
To him coming back in a lesser role,
As
like
like
as
an
an advisor.
advisor, yeah.
So I'm not mad about I understand. Like,
No,
yeah.
that was his decision. It wasn't the Pirates' decision.
Yeah.
I'm just sad that he's not, because I liked him a lot.
We're living in a Ben Cherington world, basically. Is that what we're living in?
Sherry. Instead of Jerry's world, it's Sherry's world.
Sherry.
Yeah, literally. I don't think we've ever seen a worse GM ever in our life. Honestly, if you look at it across the spectrum, I think Ben
Are we
is
talking like in baseball? What are you saying?
in baseball.
In baseball.
For this Pirates team. I honestly think Ben is doing a huge disservice to this team and how he negotiates, with pricing and money and everything comes down to.
He has a limited amount of money. We understand that, but you have to go out and get. You have to use what you have wisely, and you have to find the best value, and he can't do that.
They never charge full price. They look at the discounted rack item. Basically, that's what they like, the discounts. And
But that's more of an owner issue than it is a GM issue.
Yeah, I think it kind of works hand in hand. I think the owner. I think a lot of that is on Nutting and his unwillingness. It was reports that they're actually going to shed payroll, actually
Yes,
from
I saw
below
that.
90 million, which is you'd think it was unthinkable, but it's actually not with this franchise. But a lot of it too is we were talking about in the offseason, there were several players who went in the 1 year, 6-7 million kind of range, just like a prove it kind of deal almost. That the Austin Hayes with the Reds. I mean, he was hurt a lot, but he was better than Tommy Pham, and we like Tommy Pham. I hated on the signing when it happened, but I had apologized to Tommy because he did an admirable job given the circumstances.
That is fair.
What about Paul Skeens, though? You think he sticks around for another season or two, maybe 3?
Well, he's under. I mean, the team has all the power with him.
Yeah.
Like as
But
of
once
now,
he hits arbitration,
Right.
he's going to be owed a lot of money.
That's where
folks.
that's where you're gonna have the questions. It's a tough call because like you guys mentioned, who knows if we have a 2027? I have no idea what they're gonna think in that parameter. Maybe if they decide to keep him through arbitration, there's not going to be much building through free agency around the roster. They're just going to have to really depend on the young guys at that point.
Are they cutting the payroll because they're not making enough money over at PNC Park? Because
that's probably going to be their excuse, because I heard that was like, we got less attendance this season. We didn't bring as much money in, so now we got to cut payroll.
Well, they still have payroll to use, if I'm not mistaken, because of the Bednar trade and the Hayes trade.
Well, they said they'd use that, but still, they would cut from what was anticipated.
There's a dry
that's
spot
fair,
of money
yeah.
in someone's closet. There's like an empty closet. Like there's no money, because I surely went to 3 Pirate games this year. I got to be honest. I was bored out of my mind. Thinking, why did I even come to a game? And why did I even spend money here?
Don't spend money. Don't spend the money.
The Pirate store, Jake? I'm like,
everything costs a lot of money.
Any more of my money. I already spent enough on food for your $30 in chicken tenders and fries and a drink. Let alone going to the store and going buy a $125 shirt that I guarantee you that player's name on it probably won't even be around for another 2 years. I think the Pirate store is very overvalued. I think the food is, the prices over there, I think they think we're in LA and we're like in Hollywood. I don't know if it's like a lump, if they're trying to make up for it, but for attendance, because every time I went to the game, the attendance just slowly has decreased. And that's an issue.
This year it was down 11%, and according to multiple sources, they're saying they're going to decrease the payroll from 90 million because of the lack of attendance this year.
Yeah.
So
why would you want to go watch a mediocre team? I could
worse than mediocre. We wish that they were mediocre. Nicholas Brown. All we ask for is mediocrity.
Well, technically, with the Red situation, you could be mediocre and make the playoffs,
exactly.
Which is crazy. But like that's
Pirates
that's
aren't even
reality.
close.
It's like watching paint dry.
But they'll keep telling us, and that's the thing. They're literally doing the same thing for the 3rd year in a row, all over again. Travis Williams is going to sit here and tell us we're going to get better. We're going to bring back everybody because we don't want to shake things up. You need to shake things up, as Nate and I were talking about. And they're going to tell us we have the resources to get better.
Yes.
And we're going to get better. You said that last year, and we said in the offseason they didn't get better. And clearly, they were a worse team than they were before.
But
so you're going to bring back the same GM, the same people. Don Kelly, I have no problem with.
Expect different
results.
Here's the thing that people aren't also talking about as well, which stems to the issues. Like, look at guys like O'Neal Cruz and Joey Bart, who took steps back.
Yes,
those were guys that you needed to rely on.
Yeah,
Brian Reynolds didn't have the season he wanted either. That also became an issue for most of the year.
And they always say we're going to get better internally. No.
Yeah.
What has told us you're going to get better internally? Other than Connor Griffin, who is coming up soon that's going to make an impact? How am I supposed to believe O'Neal Cruz is going to be some superstar? Because that's not what he is. And where he's 26 years old, he is what he is at this point. Hopefully, he won't be a 200 hitter. But he makes stupid decisions, and he's not a smart baseball player. But he has raw talent. That's what he is. So. It's just I don't really have any interest in talking much about them this offseason unless they surprise us.
Right.
I think what's going to happen is they're going to trade Mitch Keller with that contract, and then they're going to spend a little more than they have. But because they got rid of that Mitch Keller contract, the payroll is still going to be the same, if not less. So to me, for them to get better, as I kick my microphone, they have to spend $100 million in payroll, and that's not going to happen. So, because they're not, unless they really improve internally. But we see that's just not going to happen. But what really sickens me, I'm not surprised that they got rid of Ben Sherrington, or that they kept Ben Sherrington. I wish they got rid of Ben Sherrington, but I like that they brought Don Kelly back. But as soon as 24 hours after the season's over, less actually, you knew he was coming back. They announced it. And I was like, yay. But at the same time, it was like, wait a second. Now you know Ben Sherrington's coming back because, as Jake was saying, they weren't going to retain Don Kelly and bring in a new general manager because the new general manager would have had to have a say.
Right.
And what? So they didn't even give Bob Nutting didn't give even 24 hours to even consider hiring or to even consider potentially firing arguably the worst general manager in sports. They didn't even consider it. They had their minds made up a long time ago, clearly. So they're just not paying attention to what they're doing. And, you have to question whether or not winning is their main priority.
I think internally you have to look, too, at some of the most nights that went. It was, the Mac Miller bobblehead and Paul Skeens bobblehead. I think that had the most attendance out of everything. Free T-shirt night. Who really wants a free T-shirt?
The bobbleheads definitely draw the most fans,
and that's it.
Which is
but it's enough for them to get by, and that's the problem.
And that is the problem. They're not going out and actually going further and doing more. If you go to a Pirate game, you have to make sure you have a good amount of money. If a family of 5 can't go to a Pirate game, they'll be.
It's an unfortunate epidemic with the MLB in general too, because the sporting events have become so expensive nowadays, and even in a city like Pittsburgh, which isn't the market of Los Angeles, you're still spending a lot of money, and that's the unfortunate reality of major sports now.
So who cares about the Pirates? That's like City of Depression over on that side of the river.
We pretend like they don't
exist.
But
we can't because on this podcast we love baseball, so we're always going to talk about the Pirates. But this offseason, I'm not going to be here last year and sit here and complain when they're not doing anything because what I'm wasting my breath.
It's going to be that's the expectation.
They're
That's
not,
what it's going to be. But yeah, I'm just I've almost had it with them. I've had it with them for so long, but it's just to the point where I'm just almost done with the Pirates because. If you were trying to sabotage a major league franchise, this is what you'd be doing. The thing is, I hate the scapegoat stuff.
Yeah,
I hate it. We want to honor our players' concerns. The players don't want Ben Sherrington as GM, so get rid of him. Actually, we're gonna get rid of Oscar Marine. The players wanted that, but they wanted probably more to have Ben Sherrington go.
May I play devil's advocate about Oscar Marine? Look, I don't know if Oscar Marine's a great pitching coach. Obviously, the pitching's been great. But does Paul Skeens, if he cared about Oscar Marine, he'd still be here. Right? I don't think Oscar Marine...
It's just the idea of doing it, though. It's the idea of saying you're getting rid of somebody, for whatever, and then because you're honoring the players' concerns. You haven't honored... They wanted, in the offseason last year, the players wanted you to add more players, and you didn't. So you don't honor the players' concerns.
They won't say this, but I think the reason they got rid of Oscar Marine wasn't because of Oscar Marine. It's because Don Kelly wants to have his staff. Mm-hmm. Don Kelly this year managed with Shelton's guys for the most part. Oh, he did bring in Frank, what was his name? Gene Lamont. I almost called him Frankie. I don't know why. So he wants to have his coaching staff. So obviously, Don Kelly has a guy in mind, I think. And I won't be surprised if whoever their pitching coach has some connection to Don Kelly. I think the Oscar Marine thing was more of a Don Kelly thing than it was a scapegoat thing. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe Nate's right about that. It's just, the Pirates being...
I won't give them the benefit of the doubt.
Honestly, but that's an interesting point, though, because, Don Kelly, he's, in my opinion, I could be wrong about that. I don't see him as more of a player developer like Derek Shelton tried to be.
Right.
So that I'm interested to see, how he goes about that. Because whenever Andy Haynes was hired, for example, he was very similar to Derek Shelton. They had a very similar philosophy. Once you bring Matt Hagan... It was very unbalanced with that. You saw that early in the year whenever just the hitting it just seemed very inconsistent. At times they would be aggressive, but then at times they weren't getting the bat off their shoulder. It was just a weird dynamic. So I'm kind of interested to see what Don Kelly does. I assume he's going to bring. I assume he's going to bring in guys that may play towards Pirates' strengths than rather one philosophy fits all. I hope that's the case because you have to be able to adjust and to be able to adjust what these players are developing if you want them to succeed. That's a big reason why Ray Searage didn't last past 2019. He was great for his time, but once these younger pitchers started coming up, he had the same philosophy as he did with the veterans, and that just wasn't working. Like you bring in power arms like Tyler Glass now, and you're trying to make them pitch to contact guys. They're going to give up a lot of runs. That's just the reality. So I'm interested to see what Don Kelly does. And what guys he brings in, and I trust him. I think he's a great baseball mind.
Yes.
I mean, we see him get interviews or interview requests that he denied like a few years ago. So I'm interested to see what he does. So.
Yeah, I mean, Don Kelly, he's gonna have to be a really, really, really great manager.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And like, I like Don Kelly, but at the same time, I feel bad for him because I think he really does care. I think Derek Shelton cared, but like, you can only go as far as the talent you're given. So we'll see. I mean, I think he did a good job. I think he brought, well, there was a big report from Noah Hiles, who's now, congratulations to Noah.
Yeah.
He's
Yes.
has a new job now at the Post-Gazette. And now Jason Mackey's going to be full-time Pirates beat. But he was saying, like, they felt the tension with Derek Shelton. Like, they could tell his job was on the line.
Because he wanted to win, and he was very underwhelmed by what Charrington and Bob Nutting and whoever did in the offseason.
Right, but I think Don Kelly, though, he brought a more relaxed, a fresh personality, a relaxed vibe. And I mean, Donnie's you could tell he's always smiling, like he's just happy.
Yes.
He's happy to have the job, and he's happy to
wants
to be with his players.
And he wants to be the manager of the Pirates, and that's
right.
important because
he's a Point Park guy. He's a Pittsburgh guy.
To win in Pittsburgh, you need a manager that wants to manage the Pirates specifically. You can't have a guy that just wants to be a manager of a baseball team.
Right.
And that's important. And that's important. And whenever you play with a lot of tension, like you did with Shelton, your players play tight, and that becomes an issue. You have to have these guys relaxed but also focused, and that's a big thing. Like whenever they're up to bat, they have to be in full control, but they can't. Their mind can't be in circles. Like they have to be in control, but they have to be relaxed at the same time.
Well, I'll just say this to end on the Pirates and everything. Every day that goes by, I less and less blame Derek Shelton for what happened with the Pirates, just because, like, I hear you guys about Don Kelly, and I like Don Kelly and everything, but I just think I think this organization, what they needed was a sense of urgency, a sense of, hey, we need to start winning.
There is none.
And Derek Shelton was bringing that, as the report says, he was bringing that, and the others in the front office and throughout didn't reciprocate that energy, and that's just what's frustrating the most. I'm just really tired of the people running the Pirates. I just get very frustrated with what's going on because it's just year after year of the same stuff, and
Rinse and repeat, as I always say.
Yep, yeah, and I'm not. What are they? You have to set the lowest possible expectations for the off season. So I'm not really looking. I usually look forward to the off season as a time to improve your ball club. There's always, even if you're the worst team, hey, if we do make a move here and there. But I'm just at the point where I don't even care, about because I just don't think they're going to do anything different. They've given no indication that they will. So what is there to look forward to? So that's just where I'm at with the Pirates. I think most of us are kind of at that point too. But
I just, for our next topic, I wanted to do a request. I know Nicholas BRAHN here had a bracket. He's got his papers. He's well prepared. Do you have a bracket, a postseason bracket there? I see you got one there. Have you been paying attention to the postseason at all? Do you have a World Series pick? I mean, now we got to talk about these wild card series a little bit, but I want to hear your thoughts on this postseason. We want to talk a little bit about that.
I love the Yankees. I do. I love the New York Yankees, especially one player.
You love the big brands, don't you? You love the big brands.
I think Giancarlo is like the best. Of course, I can't do his name perfectly, but I just love him. He is amazing at what he does. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the New York Yankees and the Dodgers.
Again. Repeat.
I think it's going to be a repeat.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think the Yankees could certainly, in the American League, make the World Series. The Dodgers going to be tough because their bullpen is just so questionable. They've had so many injuries. But that's interesting. I mean, the ratings would be through the roof again. I'm sure Rob Manfred would love that because we love the ratings. But that's interesting. Yeah. Are you? Do you guys have anything else to add about? You guys want to talk about the playoffs a little bit? What we've seen so far?
I'd like to. Yeah. I'd like to talk. I mean, I don't know how much you. I mean, I know during the week it's tough to watch because you got things going on. But I've been keeping my eye on it. what a great wild card. I mean, there have been years where, like, none of these games go to Game 3. And obviously the Dodgers-Reds, that was a joke.
Yes.
But all of them went to Game 3. All of them were, I mean, every time a base runner got on, it was exciting. But I think obviously the biggest matchup was the Yankees and the Red Sox because of the names and the brands and the rivalry. But I think that was huge for the Yankees. I think the Yankees have arguably the best shot to get to the World Series, but the Red Sox had their number. It's a 3-game series. I was saying it's a manager mismatch. But my thoughts were Red Sox are going to win with Crochet, and if the Yankees can win that second game, they're going to win that third game. Just because from outside of Crochet, the Yankees had the starting pitching advantage. And their bullpen has kind of got together. Devin Williams has been good, and at least so far he's been good. David Bednar,
yes,
you're welcome for David Bednar. And Aaron Judge had a decent enough series, and guys like Anthony. There's guys like that they traded for, and some guys that have kind of been struggling this year that stepped up. Anthony Volpe, Ahmed Rosario with a big
Ryan
hit.
McMahon with the
Ryan
big catch.
McMahon playing great defense at the hot corner. So our friend Brian Casper didn't make a lot of big moves, but he made some like
There's
smaller
supplemental
moves.
margins.
Pieces, yeah.
Some
No, but-
pieces
but
that
to that
could come
bullpen.
together because last year they just didn't have the depth. And this year I feel like from their lineup and their starting pitching, obviously you'd love to have Garrett Cole, but they have more depth this year, which makes them dangerous, really dangerous. And I like them to beat the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I do too. I think
Yeah.
Yankees and Mariners would be a bloodbath in the ALCS, assuming that's
That's
going to
be
the
a-
case.
I feel like
Great
I think the Mariners, like, that's a mismatch I just think the Mariners.
I have the
like,
Mariners winning the World Series.
I have them making it. I don't have them winning.
I have the
I have the
Mariners-
Mariners making it.
Mariners
yeah,
winning the
I think
World
I
Series.
do. Yeah, I do too.
But I would be shocked because the Mariners have over the last 25 years
They've
haven't
choked.
that
they
is
haven't
very true. Yeah,
they don't
that
have a
is
lot
very
of
true.
experience in the playoffs. So
I think the Yankees win it all.
that's what I'm
fair.
saying.
I
I
mean,
wouldn't be
that's-
shocked if the Yankees went to the World Series. The NL is more top heavy. The AL has more depth of teams, but now it's down to 4, right? Because the wild cards are these 3-game series.
And I think these series are like most watched ever. I mean, this is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been all really tight games, like you were mentioning,
Yeah.
Peyton. Every pitch is important. You get a base hit, it's a huge momentum swing, even though maybe you don't score, but just in that moment, just what's going on. And I mean, Dodgers, Phillies, you ever hear Cubs, Brewers? Like, these series.
Please,
These are some great
Milwaukee,
series.
Don't lose at the division series
Yeah.
again, please. Oh my gosh, please. I'm sad about the Padres, but the Cubs were the better. They had the more They had more pitching, and they have a better lineup right now. So
Yeah, no, I agree.
where'd you go there?
No, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I wanted to talk about Cleveland and Detroit because we were a lot of us on this phone. I don't know, Jake, what you were feeling, but just very fraudulent end of the season with what Cleveland. I mean, you got to give kudos. I mean, they were just on a roll.
They were.
And
At the
Detroit
end
had
of
to,
the season.
had to collapse.
Yes.
And you talk about an all-time collapse.
Well, I had Cleveland winning that series just based off the momentum.
I did too.
Because, like, you know, you lose all these games. Like, we see in so many, like, all these sports where you lose so many games to end the year, and then you're just first-round exits after it seemed like it was the complete opposite the first half of the year. But, I mean, the Tigers, like, we all should have taken account that Scooble was going to steal game 1 regardless. I mean, he's incredible. Right. He's literally the Paul Skeens of the American League. And that just puts you in an advantage. Once you're down 1-0, it's so tough to climb back, even though that is a smaller margin.
You could tell in that series the Tigers were the better team. They had more runners in scoring position, but they couldn't capitalize.
Their lineup is so much better. I mean, their lineup isn't crazy good, but it's like you just go down. Javi Baez hitting 9th. He'd hit cleanup. The guys Cleveland was throwing out there to hit 4th. It was kind of ridiculous.
But the Tigers were in their own head. Cleveland was in their head, and you have to give them credit for just grinding at bats and continuing to pitch well and finding a way to end up in the spot you should have been much more easily, right, in the NLDS. You should have won that division by a lot of games. But, hey, they collapsed. They had to do it the hard way, but they got it done. And if you're a Detroit fan, it's such a sigh of relief because you don't want to have that all-time collapse and then also lose that series. If you're a Cleveland fan, it's like I'm not too mad about it because we shouldn't have been here.
But they did all that just to lose though. So there's like part of that where
but
it's
what
like,
would they have done? What would they have done?
I don't think they
in
would
a division series. I still don't think the Tigers are playing well enough to compete with Seattle. But I mean, I think that's a much more interesting series than if Cleveland would have made it. So I was rude. I love the Tigers. Don't really like anything involving Cleveland. So I was happy about that. And I did pick the Tigers, and that was because of them having Scuba, and I just thought they needed it more than Cleveland. And that's kind of the same thing. The Yankees needed it more than the Red Sox because the Red Sox, they have a younger core, right? The Yankees have a much older core that needs to win as much as they can now. So, but the Yankees were on the ropes there. They were really on the ropes. I thought, and that's why I was like, Game 3, the Yankees are going to take care of business because the Red Sox, they had them on the ropes in that game, too. They really did. Like, they had so many chances to drive in runs and blow that game open, and they just couldn't do it. So you got to give the Yankees credit for getting out of those jams.
Yeah. Do you want to do a preview of any of these series at all? We have it's a jam-packed episode today.
Let's talk about.
I still would like to touch on a couple of the big college football. I don't know how big you're a college football fan.
Pitt, of course.
Yeah, but we'll talk about Pitt a little bit. But I mean, Penn State. I want to talk about the Penn State-Oregon game because I think for a lot of people, we kind of know what Penn State is now, and we kind of know we kind of already knew what their ceiling was, but now that's a hard ceiling that they just hit. I mean, and it starts with the quarterback.
You love to see it.
As Pitt fans, we're not upset. We're not upset about it.
I mean, I've never been a Penn State hater, but like whenever I hear my Penn State fans or friends, they bash on Pitt, and then your quarterback doesn't do well, and it's like, well, you can't bash on me anymore.
It was just one of those games like Oregon. We were watching the game together. Oregon was kind of dominating. Like and at the end of the game, they had 200 or at least more yards than Penn State did. They controlled the line of scrimmage. Oregon did a great job stopping the Penn State really good running backs that they have. But it was just like Oregon, they had some fourth downs that they didn't convert on. And it was just like they could have been up more, and was that going to come back to bite them? They get that 2-score lead. And then all of a sudden, Drew Aller kind of turns it on a little bit, and they end up tying the game. But it was just like Drew Aller, it's just a lot of people were thinking he would take that next step, and he would be one of those first-round quarterbacks in an apparently elite 2026 NFL quarterback draft class. But it's just not. It seems like he's regressing with quote-unquote better receivers.
He's never been good, and he's just not. I mean, if you can't. I mean, what's he going to do against Ohio State's defense? He couldn't do anything against Oregon. I mean, it's...
Well, look at the guy Aller played, Dante Moore. I mean, no one talks about him.
He looks like the best quarterback.
He's eligible for the draft right now, and I don't think he'll go to the draft, but he looked cool, calm, and collective.
You know what, though, Jake Bell? He may, because all these quarterbacks everyone was hailing, they all stink.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's literally been like he's been, in my opinion, like a top 3, top 5 quarterback in the nation so far. I mean, you just look at his numbers. You look at the way he played against Penn State. I mean, for having a head coach that's very like crazy, like he's a very calm quarterback, and he looked the part against Penn State at Penn State, which is a very hard environment to be calm and collective.
The hardest.
Yeah,
they were jumping,
and he came in and he did his job. I mean, I'm not gonna praise him and say he had this amazing, fantastic game, but you look at him in the second half, and it was a whole different level.
That was about as good as you could do, though.
Like Penn State's defense. I mean, NFL talent all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to watch more of this kid, but like, you can't deny the poise and that's the thing with Drew Aller. He has the physical traits and the toughness, but in the big moments and instinctually, as far as reading the defenses and making the big throws, I mean, he just doesn't have it.
I mean, it really shows that he really was a 3-star recruit all along. Like late into the recruiting process, he just rose up these boards and became a 5-star recruit, the #1 quarterback in the country. A lot of the year, he was a 3-star recruit, and it kind of shows the limitations he has, like mentally as a quarterback. And I feel like there's more physical traits that you look into whenever you do recruit rankings, but you don't really see everything. I mean, in high school, it's a lot more easy to dominate than it is at the college level, including the Big Ten. So.
Yeah, no, it was just a statement win by Oregon, who it looks like in the Big Ten now it's going to be a collision course, Oregon and Ohio State, because I mean, Penn State now and I mean, big game James, they're wondering if that was going to happen, but I mean, what are you going to do with your quarterback just playing like Drew Aller did for most of that game? But now, I mean, you look at Penn State's schedule, it's a lot of easier games other than Ohio State. So like if they do go 10-2, we think there might be a lot of 10-2 teams in the playoff conversation. Their best win might be against Indiana, like at home, which Indiana's a good team, but there's just no depth to their schedule to where they would have a better advantage over some of these other teams, maybe a 10-2 SEC team, or even an 11-win ACC team or something, if that were to come to fruition. So that was just a big game, and we learned a lot about both teams. I just want to touch on Alabama-Georgia a little bit too, because that was Alabama-Georgia every year is just a massive game.
Always.
And Bama just seems to find a way, don't they?
Yeah, they did.
Backs against the wall. They had to win that game after losing to Florida State. And Ty Simpson, man.
Yeah. You have to give him credit.
He's the best quarterback in the country, potentially.
Yeah.
He could be on the road to the Heisman. We'll see, but a lot of games
There's
to be
definitely
played,
an opening.
He's also eligible for the draft. Very much. Oh, yeah. This is like his third, fourth season in college.
Oh, yeah, that's true. It would be very interesting. But I just thought, like, I have reservations about Gunnar Stockton for Georgia.
They keep doing these walk-ons. They think because
he was not a walk-on,
but he feels like a walk-on to me. Like his size, his arm, just not great. I'm sorry.
You're disrespecting a lot of people today.
I always do. Brown. You disrespect people too. What are you talking about?
Whoa!
Excuse me.
You kind of disrespected my picks. That was kind of. But anyway, I just thought it was a really good win for Alabama. Those are two really good teams.
I don't think Georgia is just as complete as they used to be. Like they'll still probably make the playoff and everything, but Gunnar Stockton just kind of seems small, and I don't know. I mean, they were down 24-14 at half, and then nothing happened. Alabama didn't score, and they still couldn't win the game. So, like, I was more locked in on the Penn State game, so I didn't watch much of that game, but like, I don't know. Kalen DeBoer, that's a huge win for him because people were doubting him as a coach, and it looks like he got the quarterback. I mean,
they have the talent.
They have the talent, so that's a big win. They're gonna have more big games though coming up this week. Vanderbilt.
Don't sleep on Vandy.
I know.
That used to be,
the laughingstock of
now.
Power.
I mean, in 2021, the same year Pitt won the ACC, they lost to an FCS program by 20. Like that just shows you where they were 4 years ago and where they are now, and it's incredible. By the same head coach, by the way, who had to inherit a winless team the year before he became the head coach.
Yeah, Clark Lee, he's doing a great job. But and there are some other big games. Ole Miss beats LSU. Very good win for Lane Kiffin. LSU just can't run the football. There's some just weird stuff going on there.
We talk about Penn State being frauds in the Big Ten. I think LSU is the big fraud because everyone's like, they finally won an opener against Clemson.
They're like very similar teams this year, honestly. Although I think LSU has more upside.
Yeah,
with Garrett
and LSU is the better.
Healthy.
They have the quarterback. Nussmeier can play, but he has no support really. I mean, everyone's like, they beat Clemson. Finally, they win a big game on an opener.
Clemson doesn't look all that great right now.
No.
Yeah.
So, they have no run game, which is a surprising thing. I mean, they barely were beating Louisiana Tech. I mean, they just haven't been able to move.
Don't disrespect Louisiana.
They haven't
That's
been able
Terry
to
Bradshaw,
be cohesive.
Yeah.
They haven't been able to be cohesive as an offensive unit, and it's not like Ole Miss's defense is elite.
They're not. I mean,
LSU's defense has kept them in games. It kept them in that game against Lane Kiffin, and they couldn't get it done.
Yeah, and then Tennessee with a huge win, I think, against Mississippi State, too, because they have a lot of tough games on their schedule coming up, so you can't have that hiccup game or else you're going to they were probably going to get knocked out of the playoff. But I want to close with Pitt. Don't want to with Nicholas Brown. I don't want to close on a sour note here, but we're going to talk about Pitt a little bit because they I don't know what to even say about that game. I mean, they were the better team for large stretches. Obviously, it was a bit of a ref show at times.
Yes.
But that really didn't. They were in control of the game. They could have done so much, and if they did 3 things differently, they would have easily won this game. But I think a big question now is, obviously it's a coaching thing. The coaching staff is very below par. It's obvious to see that. And I think Cade Bell should certainly be on the hot seat. I don't know what his buyout is. We love buyouts now.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a big thing in college sports now because you got to have NIL. You need to pay
Can
the
I have
players.
a story time real quick about Cade Bell?
Interesting.
We're in
Story time with Pirate P.
we're at the game, right? And so twice I have a big issue with Cade Bell. I'm screaming at him because at the end of the first half, second and 1, you got a 9-yard gain, second and 1, you're inside the 20. Run the ball. No, we can't run the ball 2 or 3 times in a row. We just can't do it with this pit scheme because I'm Cade Bell and I have to be super fancy.
And he
about
has to be in
everything.
shotgun every time.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
you can be
Shotgun.
in I formation every once in a while.
And then, Pitt has a false start on a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1, and he's yelling at everybody. Bro, if you would have just stop yelling, stop blaming everybody when you're the problem. You have one of the worst red zone offenses in the country. I don't know what the numbers are. You have one of the worst red zone offenses in the country. Don't be yelling at your guys, and don't be yelling at your quarterback, although Holstein is an issue.
Yes.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But don't be yelling at your quarterback so much where Holstein had to, slightly
He was
push
right
him
in
out
his
of the
ear,
way.
actually.
It was,
Right?
Yeah,
Getting
it was
ugly.
crazy,
And I'm yelling at Cade, but I said, stop yelling. You're the problem, dude. You are the problem.
But the problem also stems to him caring more about being a head coach in the future than him caring about being
He
an
does
offensive
not
coordinator
care.
now.
Exactly. And that, I can't stand that. And so what happened was I yelled at him, and apparently there were some security guys around me, and I yelled at them, and they said, "You're out of here." And they picked me up took me out of the stadium. They threw me out into the front lawn out in Acrisure Stadium, and then I had to lay there until I could get a ride home. So I got very angry at Cade Bell and the security team. They had to throw me out, and it's a really sad state of affairs.
Well, I don't remember
you're
that.
2 truths and 1 lie.
I don't,
Yeah.
I don't quite remember that happening. But to be fair, I was just so demoralized with this Pitt team that could happen. I was just kind of in my head and just.
Well, and when they threw me out of the stadium, it was when you had 1st and goal after a big play to Blue Hicks, who is
Had a great game.
outstanding.
Yeah, I cannot believe how good he is.
Against his former team. And then I said, run the ball, Cade, run the ball. And then Holstein, they throw, and Holstein makes the dumbest throw imaginable. All he had to do was just check it down to the running back. He would have scored. And instead he tries to throw a lob, and somehow then the linebacker catches it, intercepts. And that's when the game, you knew it was they're done.
Yeah.
They're not coming back from all of these mistakes.
Okay, so we know not to go to a game with Peyton. Security will definitely be on top of us.
Yes.
I don't have no words about your story because I'm just shocked at that. They're doing too much.
Well, you gotta read into how truthful that is now, Nicholas Brown. Was that for entertainment purposes, or was that actually
You're always
true?
entertainment, but I surely want to go. I don't want to go to a game with him. My God. I think Pitt does have a lot of issues on 3rd down. I think that is their biggest, they cannot convert. And once you can't convert, you're just going down deep into the trenches. But I also think Pat Narduzzi, give it up, Pat. Give somebody else a chance. Honestly.
Oh, he's not giving any. He has a lot of money owed to him. He's not giving up any.
And the ego has become an issue now as well. I mean, you just see. It seems like the same thing, and the same things are being mentioned in the post-game interviews where the goals are ahead of us. Like you have to transcend as a program.
Everything's in front of us. Louisville's a great football team.
Once you win you won the ACC for the first time, good. That's your goal. Now the next season should always be to be better.
Right.
You can't have the same goal every single year and expect to transcend as a football team. And now it's okay. Let's be bowl eligible. I don't want to be bowl eligible.
Right.
I see all these teams
if they
competing.
get bowl eligible, that'll be a great accomplishment now.
but would it be though? Because everything would.
Well,
stay
now
the same,
now it is with what they're. I mean, if they beat Boston College, I'll hang a banner for Pat Narduzzi this week. I mean, we need a win of any time. But I mean, it's just it screams like we're at an impasse right now with Pitt football. I mean, we talked about kind of the on-field kind of controversial things here. The scrum a little bit between Cade Bell and Eli Holstein.
And that's a
And then
big
they
issue.
bench
the relationship issue. Benching him when you're down a touchdown.
Yeah.
You know, maybe who knows who gives you the best chance in the moment. It's not Cole Gonzalez. You may say Mason Heinschel, but you're not going to say Cole Gonzalez.
You would have to start Heinschel the entire game. You can't throw him in a situation like that.
Here's the issue with Eli Holstein. He's not an elite read the field. Like he's a guy who's bound to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Like he's not a great prospect by any means. But
he's a first round talent.
Yes.
Chase
Okay,
Daniel.
that's right.
That's what he said.
Okay, well, we don't care about that. But he's talented enough to be the starting quarterback for Pitt. The problem is the offense that Cade Bell has created is out to make him to be a hero. You need to throw the ball 40 times a game. You need the whole game plan is we're going to pass the ball pretty much every play. And Eli Holstein makes too many mistakes over the course of a game for that to be your game plan. And we continue to see that. And yes, it's on Eli Holstein, but maybe if you run the ball more consistently, if you help your young quarterback, maybe he would look a lot better in a lot of people's eyes right now because he makes a lot of terrific plays and a lot of downfield throws. I've said I'm not that high on him as like an elite talent, but like he's good enough where if you can run the ball and give him some support and not make him throw the ball in every single situation, that maybe you would have help. Maybe you would be winning more games right now.
And that stems back to Narduzzi because you look back.
Well, it stems back to Cade Bell.
Yeah,
is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, exactly. But like you look at whenever Narduzzi and Whipple would butt heads, it wasn't like Whipple was this air raid offense.
No, he was balanced enough.
He threw the ball slightly more, I'd say, than he ran. But whenever he did run the ball, it was very effective. Constantly, you had these running backs averaging 4.5, 5 yards per carry, and it wasn't like a Bandit Canada the year after where he was the main back. Like you had 3 running backs that they relied on. If one back was the main guy, the rushing numbers would look better. But they butt heads, and then Narduzzi decides to double down on the run. And whenever he saw that doesn't work, now he's double downing on a more pass-heavy offense.
Yep.
And it's just you ruin that really good offensive coordinator you had that was very balanced, and now all of a sudden you feel like you have to go one way or the other. I mean, football is a game of balance. If you have to be unpredictable, if you're constantly in shotgun, that removes every single element. And you can't run quarterback sneaks, which is something that you should very much rely on the 1 yard line with the quarterback.
Holstein's a big dude. He can easily run QB sneaks.
Exactly. And you lose that element because for some reason you feel like you have to be in shotgun every single play. I get with a bad offensive line, maybe that's more helpful because if you run play action in an I formation, that gives the defensive line a lot more time to get pressure on you. But at the same
that's
time,
not an excuse.
It's not. I agree. And at some point you have to be balanced, and unfortunately that's not the case.
It's depression over.
I mean, but what I feel like Cade Bell showed that he is more emotional than he is logical because yes, you maybe had a negative interaction with your quarterback. Yes, he's thrown a couple interceptions, but the fact that you're just entirely blaming him and saying you're on the bench, you're in timeout essentially, and not looking in the mirror and saying, you know what, maybe I need to be doing something differently, tells me that there's not much is going to change with his approach. And
discipline doesn't, and if you don't discipline, that really shows.
Yeah.
I can't. Yeah, that's an Narduzzi thing, the lack of discipline. I mean, we've seen this over the years, the amount of stupid penalties and just not being buttoned up. Yeah. That's a head coaching problem.
Like if your head coach is running his mouth, the players are going to too, and it's also going to show on the field with the penalties. I mean, against West Virginia, like I know we don't want to bring that up again, but like there was just way too many penalties, just way too much. I know it's a rivalry game, but you have to be disciplined, and these teams are realizing, hey, if we could just not make mistakes, we're going to win every single game against this team, and that's what we've been seeing. Like Louisville did not make a mistake the second half.
Did you see what the Louisville? I can't remember what coach on the staff. He literally said, "Don't make any huge mistakes. Pitt's going to implode on themselves." The coach for Louisville literally said that they're going to implode on themselves.
And Louisville's head coach is very good. No one no one thinks about it because he was with Purdue before, but look at Purdue now. And he goes into Louisville and he grabs in these veteran transfer quarterbacks, and he ends up competing in the ACC every year. I mean, and that's the difference between coaching in that game in the second half especially.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to end here. We're pretty long here, but we had a lot to talk about. And we had obviously an incredible guest, Nicholas Brown, on. Thank you for coming on. It was a great conversation.
He needs more followers.
But I think this is a good time to talk about Jake, because Jake, you had a big week.
Oh yes,
and
Jake
you're
Bell.
going to be appearing on another podcast to Jagoff.
And that's thanks to Austin, you guys, everyone. No, that I had a lot of fun, and I'm excited to watch that whenever it comes out.
Jake Bell also had a birthday this week.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the big, we were saying he's reached UNC status here at Point Park University.
Yep.
Few have that title, but Jake Bell may be one of them now. So we love Jake Bell. We thank him for his contribution. I don't know what I'm saying.
This is like some kind of sign off that Jake isn't returning next week.
Jake Bell, questionable to return.
I didn't want to say that, but we are cutting ties.
Yeah, questionable age. That's the.
We are cutting ties with Jake Bell. He has reached the point where he is too old to be on this pod. It's ageism. We are ageisming Jake Bell off of the pod. But anyway, thank you all for watching. Make sure you tune into Steel City Commuters every week, all the time. There's always new content. You guys are, two Jagoffs, all that. And your new podcast, too.
Yes, the new one. Yes, New Management Podcast. Trying to build a lot of brands.
I don't even know about that. I don't think we've
That's
talked
him and
about
Lucas,
that.
but Nicholas Brown.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Okay. Because that's why you and Lucas have been in here. Okay.
You have too many peanuts over there.
In my brain, I'm just filled with peanuts right now.
Yeah, so you guys are pushing out the content, a lot of stuff going on, so make sure you check them out. They're really growing, and it's very great to see, honestly. And make sure you check us out as well. Subscribe to our channel. We have a TikTok, Instagram, X. So make sure, and we're on Spotify. I'm trying to get the other episodes up there, but we're trying to grow that a little bit. Yeah, and where can people find your stuff as well, social media wise?
Payne's probably gonna make fun of me for this, but LinkedIn.
How many connections on LinkedIn?
I think 1,200.
Wow. Bro, this guy's the LinkedIn
networking.
master.
We love networking.
LinkedIn, X, the Gram, Facebook. You name the platform, I'm probably on it.
He'll have breaking news. Breaking.
we love breaking.
All
we love
caps.
when it says breaking.
And all caps.
Yeah. We love when it says breaking, and it's like the most insignificant thing too. It's like really funny. It's like breaking, and it's like whatever. I don't even know what to say, but breaking. I don't know. I was trying to come up with something.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in. Be back next week. Have a good weekend, and hello, goodbye.
What?